All right, well, I'm Kevin Belbey, joined today by Dennis Crowley, the co-founder and current CEO of Foursquare. And I did just check in here at Think Cafe in Manhattan, so I'm, like I said, I'm still waiting to see if I get a badge for checking in with you. But, well, Dennis, let's get into it. My first question is, how do you personally define success?
Personally defined success is just being able to get up every morning and do the stuff that you really love doing. And, it's really awesome to have to have built this company and have a whole bunch of people working towards this vision that we've had for a long time. And so I guess we're successful in the sense that we have the opportunity to do this every day. I don't think specifically that we've made it all the way to the finish line yet, in the sense that our work isn't done yet. But I can always sense it'll be a lot more gratifying once we can really get Foursquare to the point where we've got hundreds of millions of people using it, which is really one of the bigger visions we have.
All right, next question is, obviously you are able to take an idea and turn it into reality. I know a lot of people out there think, they have good ideas, and I'm sure many of them do, but I'm just curious about how you're actually able to do that, because so many people aren't, they just have an idea sitting in their heads forever. How are you able to turn your dream into something real?
Yeah, I think the first step is just starting to do it. I think that's the hardest part, is just deciding that you want to do something, and either teaching yourself the skills that it's going to take to do it, or just to stop thinking about it and actually go out and do some work, start writing or start building or whatnot. It's like writing a paper for college. The hardest part is just getting that first paragraph done, and the rest of it comes pretty naturally, and then you can edit it down. And that's the same thing with a lot of ideas that we've had. It's very easy just to keep thinking about how great and how grand they could be, and until you actually start building them, or going out and looking for people that can help you build them, or just actually drawing out specifically what the thing will be to help you kind of better wrap your heads around it. And it's very easy just to get stuck in that mode where you're thinking a lot about it and not actually executing on it. So I was going to say one of the if you go back to the early history of Foursquare,
right,
one of the best things that Naveen and I did is we put a deadline on the date that we wanted to launch it.
Right,
we just kept playing around with it for a while. Is it right? Does it work? Do we like it? Do we not? And it wasn't until we said, okay, we want to launch this thing on March 13th, and it has to be done by that day, and if it's not done, we're going to launch it anyway. That's when we really started to make some progress.
On a much smaller scale, that was the advice I got with my blog. Just launch, and then you can kind of work with it, play with it later, if you know.
Let me say one other thing. There's a quote from I think it's Reid Hoffman, which is, if you're not embarrassed by the first version of your product, you waited too long to launch it. And I think that's true of the first thing that you build. I think it's true of the 20th feature that you add to that thing that you built. If you've waited too long, if you're not embarrassed by the first version, you've waited too long to launch it.
Well, I think that's a great quote right there. I really like that. And kind of jumping off that, I'm going to ask you, how do you respond, or how do you deal with people thinking that your idea is stupid, or even saying to you that's a dumb idea?
I don't know. I think if you're really passionate about a specific idea or a set of ideas, you owe it to yourself to try to go out and build those things, and at least to the point where you can understand why you can understand yourself, why they will work, why they won't work, what the criticisms might be, how to offset some of those criticisms. Very early on, anything that we wanted to build, people yeah, but if it was such a good idea, someone would have done it already.
Right.
And that can be said of almost anything out there. And I listened to that advice for a long time before I was what, this is a little bit different than everything else, and maybe it works and maybe it doesn't. Let me just try it and just see. Right. And even if you hit a roadblock and you're oh yeah, it's really not going to work, you might be able to pivot it onto something else and be well, I've already built enough of this. Let me just try it these two other directions and see if that works out. And again, it's just I think that's saying oh yeah, it'll never work, it's an easy way to never get from idea to execution. It's just a common and easy roadblock, and sometimes you just have to say to hell with it. I just want to build it and see. I just want to see for myself, is it going to work or is it not?
Well, I met you up at Syracuse University, where you're an alumnus, and now I am too. A little scary for me. Just graduated a couple months ago with my friend Chloe Slade, when we saw you speak and were awarded with the Ahrens Award in the fall. And so I know a lot of people will be mad if I don't ask this question. How did Syracuse University, help prepare you to where you are today?
Oh, well, I was at Syracuse a long time ago. I graduated in '98. But I was there as a Newhouse major and an IST minor. IST is now iSchool,
right.
And at that time, very few people were doing things on the web. Like, we were some of the first people to have home pages at Syracuse and have web pages at Syracuse. And I was really into traditional media things. Like, I wanted to be a newspaper journalist. I went through the phase of wanting to be a magazine editor. Right. And I just never got the fascination of doing it with print. And I tried to take all the stuff that they were teaching about the print classes and apply them to what we were doing online. And we were writing about ourselves, and we were writing about our friends, and we were just kind of, we had a web magazine called Orange Source that I don't know if it still exists on campus, but it was like a digital publication that we put on the web. And so I think Syracuse was like really good environment for me and the folks that we were working with to start to experiment with a lot of these tools that we didn't have access to high-speed connectivity we didn't have access to an audience that we didn't have access to, and to take a lot of things that we were learning from class and apply them directly to, like, hey, let me take this class about newspapers and magazines and try to apply it to making a digital publication that's meant for Syracuse students.
Right.
And so it's just a lot of trial and experiments, and it seemed to have worked out.
Very cool. Going forward, doing a little research on you, I know you're a big skier. And I don't know how much you ski currently, but I know that you used to ski almost 30 days a year. Yes. And it was a 2011 article, so it might be a little outdated now, but it said that now you only ski about 8 days a year because you're so busy working.
Yeah. How
many days do you ski a year?
Quick question. I want to say I ski like 5 days.
Okay, so even down from 2011. So my question is, that's something that you love to do. Do you ever regret working so hard?
Actually, that's a really good question. It's something I try to keep. I think about a lot, like the balance between work-life stuff. And so I think I've replaced. It's not that I've replaced. It's not that I don't ski because I'm working all the time.
Right.
I've found other things to do. Like, I'll go mountain biking a couple days. I'll go out and surf a couple days. I'll take a trip with with Chelsea, my fiance. Like, I've been golfing with my brother a little bit recently. Like, I found other things to do.
Okay.
But I'll tell you one thing that's worked pretty well. And I think like in 2011 was the moment. 2010, 2011. I was just like working so much, and it was definitely eating into the rest of my life. Right. But I tried to come up with alternative strategies for things and having rules and sticking by them. And one of them was no checking email on your laptop on Saturdays, right? And I started with that because as soon as I opened up my laptop, I just sit there and I worked the whole time. Yeah, and I'd work all weekend long. And so I would do it on the iPad, and I would do it on my phone, and I'm always working. Like, I was checking my email on the way here, I'm going to check it on the way to work. I'm doing that all day long, but like, there's something different about just opening up the laptop and like sitting down to work. So I've tried to be, pretty disciplined about, these are you do that at work and you don't do it at home. And as long as you're making enough time for the other things that are in your life, you have to do that. And that includes things like, making sure you have time to exercise so you don't drive yourself crazy, making sure that like you can take a proper vacation, which
Right.
Chelsea and I went away for a week, like 2 weeks ago, which I haven't done in forever. But to just take 7 days off, it's like it's a big deal. And I think you really have to discipline yourself and make yourself do those things.
Let's see. How do you? I know it's especially tough professionally because the industry that you're in is ever changing. But I want to know, how do you try and stay ahead of the curve and always improving professionally and also personally?
I think you have to work at a lot of this stuff, right? Like, if you wanted to be really good at tennis or soccer, like, you'd go out and you'd practice all the time. And I think that's true of this stuff too. It's like being a CEO, leading an organization, leading teams, like, it doesn't come naturally to a lot of people. There's a lot of it doesn't, like, some of it comes naturally to me, but like some of the broader things about organizing and productivity and really being a good manager, like, that stuff doesn't come naturally to me at all. You have to learn that, and you have to study that, and you have to get it from reading blogs, you have to get it from reading books. Like, I work with a CEO coach that teaches me a lot of stuff. Our executive team works with a coach. We do like little executive offsites where we talk about a lot of this stuff. People don't talk too much about this side of it, but like, if you want to be good at this stuff, you have to like you don't just win the lottery and you're born with the skills. You have to study it. You have to learn about it, and you have to take criticism from the people that you work with and your peers and be like, yeah, I really am crappy about this part of my job. I should be better at it. What are the things that I can do to be better? One of the things I'm really proud about at Foursquare is that we have a really strong culture of feedback. So I sit down with like junior product people and senior designers and like our brand new salespeople, like all the time at office hours, during company meetings, whatever, and they'll give me feedback as to like, hey, am I doing a good job communicating this? Is this team working properly? And I want to hear the good and I want to hear the bad, because if you open yourself up to hearing criticism and you're open to listening to it, then you can start changing things that are screwed up, and you can change them for the better.
Now, I'm a big fan of Foursquare, and you got a lot of users out there, and it's still growing. I know where it is right now, you want it to be even way bigger in the future. But I guess my question to you is that, just like anyone else, even though Foursquare is a big success right now, you've had like bumps along your path.
Yeah.
And I'm curious about how you bounce back from those setbacks to get to where you are today, sitting on a corner in Manhattan talking to me.
You imply that this is like it's almost like you're implying this is like a setback or something.
No, this is a big deal, is what I'm saying. Yeah.
You step up. Yeah, this is like the pinnacle of my career right here.
Yeah.
No, I think I try to stress this point a lot, but people think that like the Foursquare story is just like we started off in 2009 and it's been nothing but like a rocket ship ride, but that can't be any further than the truth. Like we've been working on this stuff for a long time. Like I had ideas before grad school, I've had ideas in grad school, we sold the company to Google, like we moved on to Foursquare. Like it's just this one like roller coaster ride, and we happen to be like at the top of a lot of stuff right now. We don't really know where the end of it is. I think it's like, as long as you understand it as it's, there's no clear point from like from the start to like to the goals. It's like a very messy road. Like someone I think there's some comic or someone wrote in a blog post. There's this cool illustration of like where you started and where you ended, and like the line in between is this like really squiggly like snaky thing. Yeah, and it sums it up really nice. Like there's all these turns and you can screw it up inevitably along the way, and you take the right turn sometimes and the wrong turn other times. But I think the one thing that's worked for us is we've always been fascinated with the idea of like building software that changes the way that you understand place, building things that can bring people together in the real world, like building stuff that makes cities easier to use, like stuff that just helps you, that changes the way that you experience like the outside world instead of the online world. And those principles has helped us like figure out what's worked and what hasn't worked. And when we find things that don't work, it puts us back on path. And so I've had 100 setbacks during my career, and we still have many things that we want to build, so you just kind of dust yourself off if something doesn't work, and you go back to trying to build something that does.
Now again, Foursquare is successful and it's still growing, but it's not something that has made you a billionaire, yet you've put so much time and effort into it, and I want to know, why do you work so hard on it? I know, you've been doing this almost like you said, the Foursquare today has really goes back to your grad school days and even Syracuse days when you're coding and stuff like that. So why do you work so hard on what you do?
This is just the stuff that we like doing. I think most people have a passion, something that they really feel passionate about, that they want to work on all the time. And I think my thing has been building software for my friends. And that's how Dodgeball started. That's why Foursquare got resurrected. That's what we did in grad school. That's what I was doing before that. It's like we didn't set out to build this stuff for hundreds of millions of people or the 35 million users that we have now. It's like build stuff that your friends want to use, and maybe good stuff will happen. And that still gets me excited. If we can make something that when I show it to my group of friends on a Saturday night, they're like, holy cow, that's awesome. I've never seen something like that. Or, this helped me find something I didn't know about in this weird city, or I connected with a friend in an airport that I would not have known about normally. Like, that's the stuff that gets me really excited. Like, when you build something that changed someone's day for just a couple minutes, and if we are the ones that are constantly creating that and doing it in a way that no one else has done it before, and like teaching people that this is the way the world could be if everyone was using this stuff, like I love that stuff. And I got bit by that bug back in the summer of 2000 when I worked at this company called Vindigo that was making software for Palm Pilots at the time. And you would work all day building the software, and you'd go out at night and you'd see people using it in the streets. And my favorite thing to do to this day is like see people at a bar and peer over and be like, do they have Foursquare on their phone? Yeah. All right, sweet. Like to see people like sit in the back row of a movie theater and see people checking in before the movie starts. Like that's like my favorite thing to do. and like I see it, I see it all the time. I see it all over the world. Like it's very satisfying to me, and that's the thing that like really keeps me excited about this space and motivates me to keep building stuff that we're proud of.
Interesting that you bring that up, because those are probably the two places that I check into the most.
There you go.
So all right, and quick answer. I want you to name one place that you haven't checked in yet. That's kind of on your Foursquare to-do list, or the top of your Foursquare bucket list. Someplace you want to go and check in that you haven't.
Yeah, I've never been to Tokyo. I've always wanted to go there. There's I have a lot of friends that have been there. They've all made these amazing Foursquare lists. I kind of live vicariously through all the experience they've had, and I want to go there and do all the things that they've done. And I hope that the version of Foursquare that exists by the time that I find time to actually get there is the one that helps guide me to all the most interesting things in the city. Cool. That's what I'm really excited about.
That would be cool. And last question, where will Dennis Crowley be in 5 years, and where will Foursquare be?
5 years is a long time. I think 5 years is too long to look out. Because remember, like things like the iPhone didn't even exist, like 5 years and change. I expect I'm still building, still building either Foursquare or things similar to Foursquare. It's just like I don't think that I think there's always going to be people that are pushing the boundary of what you can do to build software that helps you unlock things in the real world. Like that's the thing I'm passionate about. I can't see myself ever not doing that. Where will Foursquare be? Like I think Foursquare has a really good shot at growing up and being like one of these big independent companies, in which that is our thing. Like we help people make sense of the real world using all sorts of devices that don't even exist yet. I said like the iPhone didn't exist 5 years ago. Like 5 years from now, what are we doing? Do we have screens here? Do we have screens here? Like what other future tech are we using? Like I want Foursquare data and Foursquare services and features to power those devices, and I think we've set the company up in a pretty nice way that could very easily be a reality.
Well, Dennis, thanks for joining us. If you don't have Foursquare yet, you got to download it. And again, for Dennis Crowley at Foursquare, I'm Kevin Belbey, and thanks for watching.